Y'all know what time it is. Back with another one. So we already did Cotton's Bullet, you know, and we done Black Bear. Um, on my two dogs I wanted to start off with. I told you the channel just getting started. So my favorite dog is Cotton Bullets on the male version. Now my favorite female dog is old Molly B. You know, Molly B, one of the greatest that ever did it. In a lot of people's mouth. You know, people talk a whole lot of junk about a whole lot of dogs, but they ain't done much talking about old Molly B. Now, what they will try to say is that the blood didn't produce and all this and that, but that's just a blatant lie. I mean, basically what it is, and this is for educational and information and educational uses only. You know what I'm saying? Some of this stuff may be true, may not be true. You know what I mean? But just for educational and informational uses only, you always got to throw that out there when you start talking about these real dogs. Look at her bone structure and stuff, you know. Who dogs she kind of look like when you look at the videos of dogs and stuff. Y'all put two and two together. But what I was getting to was she didn't produce too much or she didn't produce too good, where her blood is produced great. Whether it come directly off her or not necessarily. She was bred to some good dogs too, but you know, the blood in her per the documentations. Now I know people are always gonna say, "Oh, she won't bred that way," and all this and that. Like I said, this ain't no rumor mill. So this is the information we know of. So this is what we gonna talk about. Now, if you got some proof you were there when the breedings got done and all this and that, and you want to, be my guest. We all ears. But other than that, we going off what we got documented. So the blood in her has been producing and doing stuff for years and years and years. So whether stuff coming right off her is fire like it's supposed to be or not, if you a breeder, you can take that blood and start that thing, fire it back up when you breed it right. You know what I mean? So if you know, you know. So see, when you got dogs like this, it's gonna be a lot of hate. A lot of hate. But ain't too many people hating on Molly B other than that producing thing is what you'll hear. The dogs that come down off her ain't game or ain't this and ain't that or whatever. But the interesting thing about this dog is Mr. Edwards created this dog, with the help of who he bred the dog with. But, you know, it's got another name for the sire out there, but he had Molly B, and that's who he had the mama, so that's what he used to breed with her. From what I was told by a credible source, Mr. Edwards' first breeding that he ever did created Molly B. Now, ain't that amazing? How your first time you ever doing a pit bull breeding, you create this. A dog that has been known to a lot of people as the best female that ever lived off in the pit bull game. Now, not the best producer, just the best dog themselves. Now, a lot of people want to say Queen of Hearts. They want to say Queen of Hearts too, in which that's a good argument too. But I don't think, I don't think it's a comparison from the stories I hear and from what I think. What I think people like Queen of Hearts is because, it's in more pedigrees. Once I told you, like whatever the people feeding, that's what they gonna rep a lot of times. That's just how that go. So, but yeah, I mean, I heard all types of stories that this dog could not be touched at all. Many had tried. They brought their stuff out there, got their feelings hurt, quick fashion too. Just devastating. You see, there's different types of, you know, competition rules and stuff. To me, that scratch stuff, you know, that allow the effery in the game, if you know what I mean. Like, the handler got to get involved and all this and that. And you see what I'm saying? Like, But my style is the country style. See, there's a country style and there's a scratch style. A lot of people don't know about the country style, but to me, the country style is when you got devastating dogs that do damage. You don't want to be getting involved with that mess, man. You know what I'm saying? Like some of them turn around and get you, and you know what I'm saying. Let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Leave them, and then when it's done, it's done. All that getting involved and stuff that allow, and they try to say, oh, that shows the game, this and that shows the. I mean, the thing could be in there not moving, and then the dog be like, it ain't moving, and then you'll lose because he won't go over. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how is that a win? But that's how it go when you agree to those rules. You know what I'm saying? This is the olden days and stuff like that. You know, we just talking history. But the thing about it is, the rules are the rules. The rules are whatever you and the person decide. It ain't no certain, oh, it gotta be this way, it gotta be that way. No, it's whatever y'all decide. Y'all the ones getting it done. I got stories for days. I mean, people got, closed this and opened this, and whoever come out, come out. I mean, you got stories of people driving a 18-wheeler cart on the back where the dog is in there, and then whoever come out. Like it's all types of the rules. Whatever y'all decide is what it is. It ain't no it gotta be this way, it gotta be that way. You know what I mean? Just like it ain't gotta be a pit bull. If you got something that made the weight and it's ready to go, it's ready to go. It ain't gotta be a pit bull. It's just people use the pit bulls because they know that's the dog that's your percentage is gonna be. You know what I mean? So, not promoting nothing, we're just talking about history, but these type dogs do damage, like real damage instantly. That's what I'm into. Ain't nobody trying to be there all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is and whatever you into. All that, I was there an hour and 2 hours and all that. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It could be an hour, 2 hours and you've been getting thrashed around the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it's, whatever you're into, whatever you want to feed. But we like devastating dogs. Dogs that as soon as you get in there, stuff leaking and, it's, whatever. It's doing damage. That's what we into. So that's what she was, straight damage dog. You know what I mean? And that's just it. That's just it is what it is. So, but yes, the first breeding Mr. Edwards ever did, he came out with her. And wouldn't that be a way to start, you know what I'm saying? Like just starting out your first time and you make something like this, instantly you already a legend. Now people I've, heard stuff from and or respectable legends in themselves, they don't look at Mr. Edwards as a legend, How you ain't a legend, you made this? I don't get that. How you ain't a legend and you made this? So, however you want to look at it. But the fact of the matter is, the dogs is the dogs. You know what I'm saying? They do all the talking and, you can't take nothing from the dog. Now, at the end of the day, I really liked the dog, and I like the stories of the dog. I like the bloodline. I like the way the dog look. They some real dogs in my opinion. Now, Mr. Edwards to me, I mean, I'm always gonna be biased because it's North Carolina stuff. Anytime it's North Carolina stuff, Mr. Edwards is North Carolina. I'm always gonna be biased towards that, whether it's right or wrong. But anybody know North Carolina, South Carolina, that's the Mecca. You know what I mean? You got to throw Virginia in there. You got to throw, Georgia in there. You got to throw Florida too. I mean, all that little area right there. You know what I'm saying? But the South area, however you want to say it. But North Carolina, South Carolina, they really different. But we together when we need to be. It's the Carolinas. And ain't nobody coming like the Carolinas on a lot of dogs. It ain't just Molly B. You got Red Boy. You got all types of dogs. You know what I'm saying? La Passe, so that's I'm always gonna be biased towards that too. That's just how it go on there. But yeah, man, this was my favorite female. You know what I mean? Oh, Molly B. And to me, Edwards is a legend. He got a book about him. He's in a lot of pedigrees, a lot of names. His name's in a lot of pedigrees. And that person's a legend, so they might not think he's a legend, but he a legend to me. You know, everybody got their own opinions. There's levels of legends. You know what I mean? That he might not be a Michael Jordan legend, but he might be a Larry Johnson, say, legend, or Latrell Sprewell, or Allen Houston. Like, there's levels of legendary stuff. You know what I mean? Everybody can't be Jordan and Kobe and LeBron. You know what I mean? But it's still a legend. And the names that he and pedigrees of a lot of famous people. I don't like to name names. That's why I don't be naming names, but you got famous athletes done got dogs from Mr. Edwards. You got famous, bulldog and just done got dogs from Mr. Edwards. I mean, to me, I'd say he a legend. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. So, but yeah. Oh, Molly B right there. So let's break down how she bred. Because that's what it's all about, the Bulldog History Channel. Alright. So we at 10 minutes. I don't like to ramble too much because I know y'all, attention span is. So you see, once again, you see that 88. You ain't going to see a whole lot of, you ain't going to see the whole lot of views on this blood because ain't nobody feeding it. Like I said, it's very rarely you're going to be feeding it. You got the breeder up there, you got the owner, you got the Bass and Hargroves, legendary dog men. See what I'm saying? A lot of legendary dog men had dogs from Mr. Edwards. How he ain't a legend, that's what I want to tell the person. But I mean, they a legend, so I ain't gonna be, to them he probably ain't, So, but to me he is, and a lot of people. Now, what level of legendary, that's your opinion. So, now, said by many old timers to be the very best dog to ever look through a collar. Now, you read that on pedigrees from time to time, but when it's in there, you best believe, And they said that she was stolen or whatever. I've heard that, that's just what was told, that she was stolen, and they didn't want to, say they didn't want people to know that she was still around, retired her, and put her up somewhere, and so people won't be trying to steal her and kill asking about her and trying to, find her and stuff. So I've heard sometimes she was stolen, and I've heard sometimes she ain't stolen. Sometimes she that's just the story, behind it. She's stolen. So some dogs that they say stolen won't never stolen per se. They just was stolen from people's eyes. You know what I mean? Just so they would never be stolen. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I went around during them days like that to be commenting to say I just tell about the stories, you hear. That's what this is, the History Channel. So history is just stories. So, but yeah, that's how she was bred. You got the Stevenson's Big Ben. You got the Edwards Nelly. So Edwards Nelly was bred to Big Ben. Edwards owned Nelly, so that's why he get the credit for the dog that came out. He had the puppies. Whoever got the female, gonna have the puppies. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you do with them. Then you got the Eli's Coming 3. You got the LaPace's Lady. You got the Champ Henley's Big Boy. And the Harris's Princess Lynn. I told you this what the action going on right there when you can see what she bred like. Then you got Clayton's Eli Jr., Clemens stuff, Leonard stuff, LaPace, Griggs, Harris, Hills, Rocky the Second. You got the Boudreaux. You always put Boudreaux in there. You see what I'm saying? That Eli. That's what she got a lot in her. LaPace again. You got the Heinzel, however you want to say it. The Hendricks, Kobe stuff. They got the Kobe name again, LaPace. See? Lonzo Andy, that's that Zebo stuff. You see that popping in there. Lonzo Faye, that's that Zebo blood. Then you got your Cooks and your Harris's Tiny. So that's what basically made her up per. And I hear people say, like I said, she won't bred that way. Like I said, if you ain't got receipts, I don't want to hear it. This is what we got documented. But that's what made this dog. So the Eli stuff, been doing stuff, been producing, been making people happy. So, the blood is usable. Eli, Rom, you know what I'm saying? Eli. So it's usable. The LaPace Buster stuff, that Leonard's, Lightner stuff. LaPace, he been one of the legend himself, one of the greatest dog men. That blood been doing stuff. See what I'm saying? So the blood, Lonzo, Andy, Zebo stuff, blood been doing stuff. You see what I'm saying? So the blood has been doing stuff. So regardless if you want to say the dog ain't producing and all that because it won't in everybody's hands and everybody ain't had the dogs, but don't got the blood and stuff like that. That ain't necessarily true because the blood that's making her has been doing stuff for years and years and years and still is in certain people's hands. You know, the little bit that's in there from time to time. Trust me, it help. I don't care if it's 2 or 3% or 5% or whatever. It's in there and it's helping to make some bulldogs. All right, so let's just we're at 15 minutes. I can get to rambling, so let's do a little breakdown of what she really is. You know what I mean? And we're gonna get on out of here. Like I said, I'm gonna try to make these short and sweet when I do all these videos because I got how many of them coming. Everybody doing everybody doing they, Mighty B videos and all that. They want nobody doing them like me because I can break down them pedigrees for y'all like and they can too if they want to, copy my style or whatever. But it's my style. All right, so like I said, you start from this second generation. You want a quarter. This is what's making her. So you'd say the Eli 3. What is that? All Boudreaux stuff. I told you that blind Billy stuff. You see. It's all a Boudreaux dog. That 1/4 of her is all pretty much Boudreaux. That's what helped. That's what made Molly B. Been doing stuff for years, still doing stuff in a lot of people's pedigrees. That blind Billy. It might not be Molly B, but that blind Billy is in there in people's pedigrees. See what I'm saying? Now, what is blind Billy? You see? Daibo. That Daibo blood, that Tudor stuff. See how I go back to them same old dogs when you know how to read a pedigree? Don't take a pedigree back past a certain generation. You ain't even gonna know the blood coming from Daibo if you don't take it back and research it. That's that Daibo stuff again. Corvino stuff again. You see? Heinzel stuff again. Hubbard, you see what I'm saying? So, yeah. You gotta look at that stuff. That stuff matter. So that's a quarter of her. That heavy Boudreaux coming from the Daibo. Show and tell. Alright. So we at 1/4. Now Lapace. We see that Lapace name again. Lapace's lady. What's Lapace's lady? You see? Coming off the Lapace Leonard stuff. Or Lapace Ace. More Heinzel, more Kobe Chopper. You see? Lapace again. Tiger Lily. Or Day. That's a good name in them classic dogs again. Then you see the Kobe. Lapace more. And more Kobe. See that Kobe Lapace? That's what's making her. Then you got the PR Niblet stuff. Now, just because this is a show and tell, that's that UKC stuff. When you see that PR, you see that PR in Molly B? Blues ain't pit bulls, Staffshire Terrier stuff coming into that UKC stuff. You see? UKC, show and tell. Where the Blues and the Amstaffs and AKC dogs coming from. Okay? Now all that PR, that's what all that PR is. You gotta take a pedigree back to know what you're looking at. Going back to the Staffshire Amstaff Terriers, imported stuff. Then Kobe crossed it with his stuff. 1920s. You see? Classic stuff. Know your history. That's why this the Bulldog History Channel. The realest one out here. They don't like it, of course they don't. Alright. So now we done 50% of what made Molly B. We had 19 minutes. So let's do the other 50%, the Edward Snelly that he owned, that had the puppies. Alright, so we got Champion Big Boy. You see Champion Big Boy in a lot of pedigrees. Might not be Molly B, but you'll see a Henley's Big Boy in other dogs' pedigrees. Breeder Greg and owner Henley. The Bill stuff, the Greg's Lady. McGraw stuff. Lonzo Andy stuff. I told you that's the Zebo stuff. That made Zebo and Zebo blood. Then you see the Tudors again. See more Daibo. tutors and stuff, and more Kobe, more Divo. You see what I'm saying? That's what make Molly B. All right. And then last but not least, we got the Harris's Princess Lynn. All right. And then that's the Harris's and Hill stuff. And the Hoffman Harris more that cook stuff. And then, that's unknown. I'd guess who knows what it is. Probably some Eli in there, who knows, but they unknown. They didn't want to put it in there, or there ain't nobody put it in there. And then you got the, Hoffman's, Flynn's, Eagleston's, Gender, and, So that little quarter is kind of sketchy there, but you get the gist of it. Basically, a heavy Eli dog, heavy Kobe dog, LaPasse. That's who had something to do with it, And regardless, if Mr. Edwards is a legend in some people's mind or not, he made this dog, he bred him, and he's the one that gets credit for it, He sold them, and whatever, happened to him from there, happened to him. They get their credit too for doing what they did with them, but you can't get credit for nothing that ain't made yet. You gotta get it made first. Can't outrace nobody with a car that ain't finished and made with the engine and everything set up, can you? You ain't gonna get out there and race them with your feet. So, yeah. My favorite female dog, Miss Molly B. Go ahead and get this out the way. Got Bullet out the way, now we got Molly B out the way. And that's how she bred. Classic stuff. Stuff that's in people's pedigrees. May not necessarily be Molly B, but it'll be some of that blood in there. And, you can put your breeds together and maybe you can get lucky enough to make something close to that style. Who knows? Alright. Done pretty good on this one, 22 minutes. We got another one coming soon. Peace.